Subscribe to our YouTube channel and press the bell icon to get the latest updates.
सर्वोच्च न्यायालय के मेरे ज्येष्ठ सहयोगी न्यायाधीश श्री उदय ललित जी, मेरे मित्र एवं सहयोगी न्यायाधीश कृष्ण मुरारी जी, विक्रम नाथ जी, इलाहाबाद उच्च न्यायालय के मुख्य न्यायाधीश श्री राजेश बिंदल जी, इलाहाबाद उच्च न्यायालय के न्यायाधीश श्री एम.एन. भंडारी जी, श्री प्रीतिंका दिवाकर जी, राष्ट्रीय महिला आयोग की अध्यक्षा रेखा शर्मा जी और आज इस कार्यक्रम में सारे उपस्थित गण। नालसा ने वास्तव में महिलाओं की भारत में न्याय तक पहुंच में क्रांति ला दी है। 2020 में नालसा द्वारा प्रदान की जाने वाली मुफ्त कानूनी सहायता से 1 लाख से अधिक महिलाएं लाभान्वित हुई हैं। इसने महिला अधिकारों पर राष्ट्रीय महिला आयोग नेशनल कमीशन फॉर वुमेन के सहयोग से कानूनी जागरूकता कार्यक्रम भी आयोजित किए। इन कार्यक्रमों में लगभग 15 लाख लोगों ने भाग लिया है। एनसीडब्ल्यू ने न केवल महिलाओं के जीवन पर कानूनों और कानूनों के प्रभाव का विश्लेषण करने में सक्रियता ला दी है, बल्कि कानूनी जागरूकता बढ़ाने और कानून प्रवर्तन एजेंसियों के लिए संवेदीकरण कार्यक्रम आयोजित करने में भी सक्रिय रहा है। उल्लेखनीय है कि डिजिटल प्लेटफॉर्म पर कई कानूनी जागरूकता कार्यक्रम भी आयोजित किए गए। यद्यपि भारत में एक महत्वपूर्ण डिजिटल विभाजन बना हुआ है, टेक्नोलॉजी यानी प्रौद्योगिकी एक सक्षम हो सकती है, यदि समाधान नहीं तो भौगोलिक बाधाओं पर विभिन्न क्षेत्रों तक पहुंचने में वहां कानूनी सहायता और कानूनी साक्षरता केवल मोबाइल फोन के माध्यम से प्राप्त की जा सकती है। यह उन महिलाओं के जीवन पर एक निश्चित प्रभाव डाल सकता है जो अवसर श्रम से लिंग विभाजन के कारण या अपने आंदोलनों पर पितृसत्तात्मक नियंत्रण के कारण घर की सीमाओं से बंधी होती हैं। मैं अपने निजी जीवन के बारे में 2 मिनट आपसे कुछ कहना चाहता हूं। मेरे निजी जीवन में 3 महिलाओं का बहुत प्रभाव रहा है। पहली तो मेरी मां प्रभा चंद्रचूड़ जी। बचपन से मेरी मां का जन्म 1924 में हुआ था। मैं उसको फेमिनिस्ट तो नहीं कह सकता हूं आज के दायरे में, पर जब मैं छोटा था तो मां ने मुझे एक नाटक देखने के लिए हम गए थे, ड्रामा देखने के लिए गए थे, और ड्रामा का नाम था, मराठी ड्रामा था, आई रिटायर होते। जब घर की मां रिटायर हो जाती है तो परिवार की क्या परिस्थिति हो जाती है। और मां ने मुझे यह कहा था उस समय कि आई रिटायर होती है, इसमें जो सत्य है इसको कभी नहीं भूलना। दूसरी महिला है जिसका बहुत असर मेरे जीवन पर रहा है, वो हमारे घर में काम करती थी। 40 साल तक हमारे घर में काम किया था। उनका नाम था भीमाबाई भानु घामत। राजापुर तालुका से एक बहुत छोटे परिवार से वो आई थी। शायद वो निरक्षर थी, पर उसकी सोच, उसके विचार साक्षर महिलाओं के दायरे से कुछ कम नहीं थी। और उस समय 1960 और 1965 में हमेशा वो कहती थी, हम घर में काम करते हैं, पर क्या हमारे लिए प्रोविडेंट फंड नहीं होना चाहिए? हमारे लिए क्या एम्प्लॉइज इंश्योरेंस नहीं होना चाहिए? ये दूसरी महिला। और तीसरी महिला है मेरी पत्नी कल्पना दास, जो कि सच में फेमिनिस्ट हैं, और जो मैं कार्य करता हूं जज के रूप में, उसमें उनका काफी श्रेय है। उनसे मैं कई बार बातचीत करता हूं। उनकी सोच विचार से मुझे बहुत प्रभाव हुआ है मेरे निजी जीवन पर। Let me begin by sharing a few ideas which I have on the occasion of this beautiful function which has been organized by NALSA and by the National Commission for Women. I'm grateful to the Chief Justice of the Allahabad High Court, Justice Rajesh Bindal, and my own very distinguished colleague, Justice Lalit, for inviting me this morning. Our society is marked by a sexual division of labor between men and women. And this sexual division of labor between men and women forms the basis of the patriarchal order in our society. The sexual division of labor between men and women is considered natural. Women owe unpaid domestic labor to their families out of love. A very distinguished scholar, Nivedita Menon, has said that the sexual division of labor is not just a technique to divide work, but it conceals the fact that men's work is considered human, while women's work is perceived as determined by their nature. The position of men and women in the hierarchical family setup has larger implications for our society. First, it allows confinement of women to the domestic realm, where they are assigned the toil of domestic labor. Second, women are more likely to be relegated to feminine work roles and deprived of leadership positions, leading to discrimination in the workplace. Third, it makes women vulnerable to violence, sexual or otherwise, because of the power structure that exists in the society. And fourth, the rigid gender roles that arise from the sexual division of labor privileges the heterosexual family unit. The deviations from heteronormativity are characterized as deviance, whether it be gender non-conformance expressed through trans or non-binary identities, or through sexual orientations that displace heterosexuality as the default, since they erode the very basis of the gender binary and resulting gender roles. Our Constitution is a transformative document that sought to remedy structural inequalities rooted in patriarchy. It has become a powerful tool to secure material entitlements and provide public affirmations regarding the dignity and equality of women. Legislation such as the Domestic Violence Act, the Prevention of Sexual Harassment at Workplace, have been enacted to achieve the aim of fulfilling the constitutional rights of women. But yet, every day in our lives as judges in the Supreme Court, you come across injustice against women. You come across a case of a daughter-in-law being thrown out from the house in a matrimonial dispute. And then when she complains under the Domestic Violence Act, she is informed that the husband has no right, title, or interest in a joint family home or a home which belongs to the father. When the award of maintenance is sought to be enforced, the woman is told that the business belongs to a joint family and the husband is only a salaried partner in the business. So these are real life situations, and there is a great divergence between the ideals of the law and the real state of society today. It is important for us to understand that there must be an intersectional approach to discrimination and violence that women face. In a recent judgment which I delivered, Patan Jamal Wali versus the state of Andhra Pradesh involving discrimination against scheduled caste women, I observed that when the identity of a woman intersects with her caste, her class, religion, disability, and sexual orientation, she may face violence and discrimination due to two or more grounds. Trans women, for instance, may face violence on account of their heterodox gender identity. Thus, there is no one identity for women as a group or a class. There are multiple identities within the large class of women for whom the law is entitled to confer rights. I can share with you some of the cases which have come to me in the last few months. Denial of maternity leave for a woman for her firstborn child on the ground that her husband from a prior marriage had 2 living children. So a woman who was in a relationship of marriage with her husband for the first time was denied maternity leave because her husband had 2 prior children from an earlier marriage. Just 2 days ago, all of you would know of this advertisement which a company was required to pull down. It was an advertisement for Karwa Chauth of a same-sex couple. It had to be withdrawn on the ground of public intolerance. Our laws have created rights for women. The Constitution recognizes those rights. Those rights extend to matters such as property and succession. Those rights extend to the workplace. They recognize the right to enter the workplace and protect women once they are in the workplace. But it is important for us to spread legal awareness for women about how they can get into the workplace in the first place. How do they join the army? The Supreme Court has recently held and opened the doors for women to join the armed forces. But how does a woman access the armed forces? How does she become a member of an armed force? How does a woman become a judicial officer? So legal awareness has to be spread about these avenues for women to enter the workplace. The Food Security Act, for instance, recognizes the woman as a head of the household. A woman can be the head of the household in order to facilitate the right to food security. When I was the Chief Justice of the Allahabad High Court, we held that that right must extend to a woman who is a transgender, who must also be recognized as a head of the household for the purpose of the Food Security Act. How do we facilitate the entry of women into the workplace in order to facilitate an inclusive workplace, an inclusive society where women will be able to join the workplace on an equal footing as men? What I want to emphasize today is that the entitlements which the law has created for women should not become a ruse or an excuse for perpetuating the domination of men. So when women have been given political representation in legislatures across the country, this should not become really a ruse for a man standing behind the woman and really asserting a patriarchal domination over the right of the woman to be represented, to be a representative of the people at large. Legal awareness of the rights of women is not merely a matter for women. Awareness about the rights of women is not merely a woman's issue. Awareness about the rights of women can be truly meaningful if that awareness is created among the younger generation of men in our society. Because I believe that the deprivation of the rights of women, if we have to find an answer to them, to these deprivations, the origin must be in the changing of mindsets, both of men and women. The more we realize that the category of women encompasses varied social, economic, and political disadvantages, the more we will be able to cater to their individualized and actual needs. True freedom for women, in other words, is truly intersectional. I'm therefore very grateful to NALSA for having invited me to be present at the event today. The Allahabad High Court is a high court which is truly close to my heart. I had the great honor of being the Chief Justice and leading this High Court for almost 28 months. And I have some of the fondest memories of Allahabad and of course of Varanasi, which I have visited on more than one occasion. I'm thankful to you for inviting me to be present this morning and for sharing a few of my thoughts with all of you. Namaskar.